let me take you through a deep forward fold in yoga. For a true forward fold, the pelvis needs to be hinging forward. This is what we call an anterior pelvic tilt. So, and this is why when we come into a sun salutation, we say toes together, heels slightly apart. But because that takes the inner thighs into internal rotation, or the thighs into internal rotation, which aids that positioning of the pelvis, the anterior pelvic tilt. So again, toes together, heels slightly apart, push into the ground, engage through the quads, take an inhale here, belly in, and then on the exhale, let's fold in, hinging at the hips with the anterior pelvic tilt. Now, make sure that the hips are not lagging back, they're on top of the ankles. This is a true forward fold as long as I maintain that anterior pelvic tilt. So at some point, this is probably around my limit, at some point, unless I have a very deep forward fold where my belly comes to my thighs, my chest comes to my knees, and my forehead comes to my shins with that anterior pelvic tilt, which is not my case. If I don't have a very deep forward fold maintaining that anterior pelvic tilt, then my spine will start to round. So you'll see in my body, I keep that tilt, I keep the tilt, I keep the tilt, and this is sort of the end of my true forward fold. And then from here, I'll have to start rounding the spine to come towards the floor. I'm still lengthening the whole back body, and that's okay. And then the half forward fold will be a little bit easier, still maintaining that anterior pelvic tilt, right? So, this is Uttanasana and Ardha Uttanasana forward fold in yoga. From here, because this is a very deep stretch, we would want to strengthen the hamstrings as well, right? So to counter those deep forward folds, we could come into a few bridge poses. So make sure that the heels are dragging back towards the legs. So we engage through the hamstring, but taking the heels back without moving them. And then also engage through the glutes to lift the hips up and then keep them engaged as we lower the hips down. So again, dragging the heels back and engaging the glutes as we come up and down. By strengthening the hamstrings, not only we counter all those forward folds that we do in yoga, but also they'll be easier to stretch because they're strong, right? So heels back and squeeze the glutes all the way down and all the way up, right? As we lift the hips. The other thing we can do to deepen our forward folds is to strengthen the hip flexors. The hip flexors connect the upper and lower body and are responsible for taking the thigh to the chest, therefore deepening our forward folds. So something that you can do is start lifting the legs like that, right? And that is strengthening the hip flexors. And after a few rounds of these, you will feel that your forward fold is deeper. Make sure when we're strengthening the hip flexors, we are not leaning back and focusing more on the core. We want the hip groin area. That's where we feel in the crease in the hip, where the hip and the torso join. That's where you want to feel the intensity, right? So not on the core, the hip flexors, the hip crease, and then notice how that deepens your forward folds too. Thank you for watching.